Are you confused about your college or university selection? If yes, then toss your worries aside because now I'm here and I'll guide you through the process. Welcome back, this is Bani Abroad. I make videos that give you an edge on studying and settling abroad. So if you do not want to lose out on that edge, then consider subscribing to the channel. So let's get started with the journey of college university selection. First things first, you need to know what is the program that you want to pursue in Canada and then shortlist the college or the university accordingly. And for that, you have to dwell inside. You have to see what are your interests and then shortlist the program accordingly. You can apply to one or two in different universities, but you should have the broad idea of what you're going to study. But this is not it. Along with your interest, you have to see the scope of that program. You have to see whether you'll get a job after that program because that's the eventual goal, right? So along with the interest, you have to see what are the job opportunities in that country or in that province. So you have to consider both these factors and not just go with either interest or scope. If you just go with your interest, then however exceptional you are at that, you won't have opportunities to showcase your skill. And if you are going for something just based on the scope, then your heart wouldn't be in it. You wouldn't be able to do exceptional, even though there are a lot of opportunities waiting for you. Now that you have chosen the program, here comes the location. I know this might sound a little early, but this is what you have to keep in mind. I'll tell you the reason behind it. In my networking, I get to talk to a lot of people, whether in Toronto or in other provinces, and I have seen a few people who came to Toronto for their networking when they were studying in another province or even another city. And to do this, they had to spend their own money, whether on flight tickets or accommodation if they are staying the night, because eventually they wanted to work in Toronto, or the field that they wanted to work in was more prominent in Toronto. Just to provide you more insight, the people that I network with are either MBA graduates or MIM graduates. Now let's get to the university. For the university, you'll dash to the ranking section, right? Don't do this. Don't just do this and base your decision on the ranking, because there are going to be a lot of factors which can influence your decision and the choice of your university or college. I'll tell you what to look for beyond the ranking. Of course, the first thing that you will look for is the availability of the program that you are interested in. So that's the first process of elimination here itself, and you'll see if that program, if the curriculum matches to your expectations. Now the second step would be super easy. This will eliminate your options automatically. So you'll look at the eligibility criteria. You'll see if you are eligible for that program. You'll see the percentage, you'll see the IELTS, the GMAT or GRE score if that's required. And then you'll get to know if you can send your application or not. One thing to note here, suppose the percentage requirement is 75%, but if you have 73%, for example, then if you are really interested in that program, you can reach out to the admissions officer. You can shoot an email to him or her demonstrating your interest in the program. How will it help you in your career and how eagerly you want to pursue that program? Then hopefully the admission officer will respond and you'll either get a yes or a no. If you get a yes, then maybe you get into that program and there it is, just one simple email that you send. If you get a no, then you save your money. Win-win situation, and you won't regret that you didn't clarify and you gave your best and then you got the no. So that's better. Also, one thing to note here, this thing that I'm talking about, negotiating about the percentage, according to me, this thing would be possible in those programs which demand diversity. Diversity in background, whether it's the country or diversity in your bachelor's or your upbringing, anything. So if you bring something exceptional or different to the table, which can be normal for you, but considering the holistic picture of the diversity of the class, it might place you in that cohort. So you can go that extra mile and see if that would work or not. Now that you know the program, which universities are you qualified to apply for, let's come to the next step, which is the tuition fees and scholarships. So you have to look at what the tuition fee is and whether you will be able to afford it or not, or whether taking a loan for that amount makes sense or not. And that you'll know after talking to people and after evaluating what's the time that the graduates take to repay that loan or to gather that amount of investment back. For scholarships, again, you can check on the website, you can ask the admission officer if there are any scholarships for international students and what you have to do to avail them. So some of them might be entrance scholarships, so irrespective of whether you apply or not, you will get it. But also for entrance, there are certain universities which demand a separate application form for scholarship, so make sure that you don't miss out filling that form. Now let's address the next 2 points from the perspective of job readiness. So first, you have to see about the availability of co-ops or internships. So what's the benefit that these will give you? First, these will give you real hands-on work experience. Second, they'll give you money. And third, they'll give you an option to network within the company. So you can establish good relationships with the seniors there, the managers there, and you can demonstrate your interest in joining the firm after your graduation. You might just get placed there. That's one real big advantage. The next point that we are going to address here is 1 year versus 2 year programs. I'm pursuing a 1 year program because MIM is usually 1 year. So that was a trade-off, but I really wanted to pursue MIM, so I went for it. But for all of you who do not want to pursue those courses which are only 1 year specific, then you can choose 2 year programs. There are 2 advantages to that. One is relaxation. You do not have any tension about your work permit and the PR because you are going to get 3 years of work permit, and in that process you can file for your PR and eventually get it. And the second thing is, so I've learned this thing with experience here. A lot of companies, like the big companies, hire 1 year in advance. So if you're doing a 1 year program, so you just landed in August or September, you're not even thinking about the jobs, you're thinking of survival in a new country, you're thinking of your accommodation, you're thinking of getting a part-time job, and you have a lot of other things to handle, like being away from home, that adjustment phase. So that's one thing. And the other thing would be just lack of awareness. If someone hasn't watched this video or doesn't know this thing, then they wouldn't know because they wouldn't be focusing on that then, and by the time they'll be focusing, the job opportunities would have gone. These are new grad positions which come 1 year in advance. So if you are having a 2 year degree, then you'll have ample time, 1 year, to just find the accommodation, find the part-time job and sustain yourself. Obviously you'll not take 1 year, but it's just that you'll have that cushion, and then you'll be eventually settled, and next year the job postings open up, you'll have the awareness, and you'll also have the mental framework to sit and apply for the jobs. So these are the 2 perks that you should consider when choosing between a 1 year and a 2 year course or degree. So let's just rewind. So we chose the program, we chose the location, and we saw whether we are eligible, and then we evaluated if there's a co-op, if there are scholarships, if the tuition fees meets your means to pay it, or if you think that the loan is worth it, and also about 1 year versus 2 year selection. So here we are till now, and now there's this element of the experience. So you'll also want to know what are the kind of people that would be in the classroom. For that, you have to look at the demographics of the class. You have to see what is the proportion of international students to domestic students, because in certain colleges there are a lot of students which are South Asians or East Asians, and the thing is that what you dreamed of, studying with people from different nationalities, being friends with them, so you will miss out on that. The last stage, you can also evaluate this if your school, if the university, college that you are applying to would give you the chance to have diversity of people. Are we done? No, not yet. So the last thing that I want to focus on is talking to people. No one can be a better judge than the student who has already graduated from that program, from that university, because that person would be facing the consequences right now, and you'll get to know if those are pleasant or not, and if they are not, then you can avoid that mistake simply by talking to people. There are a lot of advantages to this approach, and you can leverage this by watching videos of YouTubers. Like, I have studied Master of Management from Schulich School of Business, so I've made a video on that, and hopefully other people would have also made videos on their program. So for one, you can watch that. And the other thing, if you do not find any video, or even so, you can get on LinkedIn. That's the go-to platform for networking, and you can see the profile of the people. You can talk to the alumni from that program, from that university, and talk about the program curriculum, the diversity, and especially the jobs and the salaries that they get, because ultimately that's your goal. And after talking to them, you'll have a realistic picture whether it meets your expectations or not. This will do two things. If you were thinking too high of the program or the university that you are going to, then you'll come to the ground level and you'll meet with the expectations and you'll prepare yourself accordingly. And the second would be that if you're not satisfied and if you see that there is another university where you have a good shot, then you can apply to that. So if there's one thing that you want to take away from this video, that would be to talk to people, because that way you won't have to spend hours searching on the internet about information that might not even be accurate, because no one would show you the grim picture, right? They want to sell. So the people that have studied from that program would not lie, and they would know what's in it for those students who are coming, and they can guide you accordingly. So the people who have already graduated from that program, just catch them on LinkedIn and start talking. One thing I would say, when you talk to people, there might be people who are negative, who are positive. So you don't want to get influenced by a person who's very negative, and you don't want to get influenced by a person that's very positive. So talk to a good sample of people and then make your decision accordingly, because one person might not have gotten their dream job and they would have bitterness towards that program, whereas the other person played to their skills and eventually landed it. So make sure that you talk to a good number of people so that you do not make a biased decision. Now is the last point, which is the bonus point for all of you. So when you are applying to colleges or universities, make sure that you don't apply to all the dream schools having positive hopes and being assured that you would get into it, because that might or might not happen. Or don't be underconfident of your skills and of your personality and not apply to those, because what if you applied and you got into that? So make sure that you have a division of your colleges, and they can be categorized into dream, competitive, and safe. So you can choose one or two colleges in the dream section and then a few in the competitive and at least one in the safe, because you know that if you're not getting anything, you have that fallback and you won't have to wait for another intake or another year to apply again. I hope this video makes your process easier and also valuable, because at the end you want to be doing something which would pay you back and won't turn out to be a negative return on investment. Now that the video is done, it's time to announce something interesting. So today I'll be doing a Q&A poll on my Instagram handle Bani Abroad. Make sure that you get onto that and you ask your questions there, because I will be answering those in my weekly Sawal video. If you think this video or this channel is of value to you, then consider subscribing to it and also liking it and hitting that bell icon. We'll meet soon. Until then, take care and stay happy.